looking at what can make or break the election in 2025, age is going to be absolutely crucial. The vote under 44 years, that's the Gen Z millennial vote, is huge, coming in at 7.7 million Australians. That now compares to the boomer vote. Used to be huge, now it is, with the interwar Australians, 5.8 million Australians. Wedged as ever in the middle, Gen X, and that comes up as 4.3 million Australians. So this upends traditional campaigning, how major political parties, independent candidates have to reach these disaffected, disinterested voters. It changes their voting habits, it changes the way they get their news, it's all upended. What we're coming to here is this move towards the TikTok election, reaching out on social media, reaching people in spaces where they don't normally consume their news. It's a well-established fact that younger voters tend to vote more progressively. Something's changing though with these younger generations, the Gen Z millennial grouping. They're taking longer to, as they get older, vote more conservatively compared to the boomers and Gen X. And that was found in a 2023 study by the Centre for Independent Studies, looking at voting patterns from 2022. So the study found that the change to more conservative voting was 0.6% at each election, and that was half the amount of shift from the boomers and Gen X generation. So something is happening there. So the theory goes that young people these days are less likely to own their own homes, less likely to have large financial assets. They're less likely to be thinking in that space. It changes your worldview. The Liberal Party strategists told me that this is existential for them. This is why they're now shifting to thinking about things like super for housing, and they know that housing is a big issue for them. If you are less likely to own your own home, you're less likely to vote in a conservative fashion. With all the changes in voting habits, it's changing campaigning as well. So we know that the trend in trust in news is absolutely going down. The latest research shows that there's news avoidance rates of 60%. The trust in news is down to 40%. And in regards to getting where they're getting their news from, just less than half Australians get their news sources from social media. Within that, Gen Z alone gets their news about 60% from social media. Essentially creates this move towards this TikTok election, this social media space where all the leaders are now on TikTok, despite some national security concerns about the owner and how they're harvesting a lot of information from users. There's all sorts of engagement that's happening online. At the same time, they're navigating a lot of negativity because it's very raw and they're dealing with trolls. But it's how they get around the traditional media, or legacy media as it's also known, and they are going straight to the source, the voter. So the main takeout from this is that door knocking and standing at train stations is not enough in 2025. You have to be on social media, but it's not just that. You actually have to actively go out and find young Australians, particularly young men, who are absolutely avoiding the news and avoiding politics. David Pocock, the independent senator for the ACT, he tells me he's going out to touch footy matches, he's going out to O-Week events at universities, and he's even being seen at the gym with Alex Dyson in Wannon. He's trying to get into Wannon, and they're out there pumping iron and trying to reach out to young men that way.